Hello beautiful friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Erica. Please be sure to subscribe if you aren't already and turn your post notifications on so you know whenever I upload a new video. So today, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be doing a video that I've never done before, but I want to start like a new tradition on my channel with this video series. As you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be sharing with you guys every book that I read in the year 2020. I think this is such a cool video idea because I love sharing books with you guys. I've done several book recommendation videos on my channel before, which I will have a playlist of those videos in case you want to go check them out. I love reading so much, and it actually shocked me how many books I actually did read this year. So I cannot wait to share them with you guys and give you guys some good recommendations because I seriously loved every single one of these books. I have them right here to my side. I'm just going to be sharing a little bit about each one. I know that I could talk forever about each of these books, but I really want to keep this video not over an hour long. I hope you all enjoy this video. Give it a thumbs up if you do, and let me know if you want to see more book rec videos in the future. I'm definitely setting a goal to read more books than I did this year in 2021. I'm gonna see if I can do it, guys. So without further ado, let's just get right into the books. Alright guys, so I'm not going to be listing these in any kind of specific order because I just honestly couldn't remember the order that I read them in. I'm just going to show you guys what the books are and tell you a little bit about them. Starting off with the first book, this is a book that I reread this year. I read it for the first time I think like 2 or 3 years ago. It is The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. If you watched my vlogs, you probably heard me talk about this. I absolutely love this. I think at its core, it's really all about the relationships you have with others, but most importantly, the relationship you have with yourself. So it's really about building a strong foundation of self-love. I absolutely love this book and would highly recommend any of Don Miguel Ruiz's books. If you know me, you know he's my favorite author of all time. I would highly recommend this one. Next book is a short little read, but it is so beautiful and even poetic, I would say, and it is called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Oh gosh, I really just want to reread this, but this has a lot to do with how thoughts create your reality, and this book was written years and years ago. So it's crazy how this concept of, you know, thoughts to things really started way back in the day, and just how it's evolved over time. The way James Allen writes is, like I said, very poetic, and I think you guys would really enjoy this. I remember when I first got it, I read it cover to cover in like an hour and a half or something, so I definitely would recommend this one. I think this is one of the only fiction books I read this year, and it's typically not something that I lean towards, but when I saw this book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom, in the store, the title I think just really caught my attention. But I loved this book. I think the message is so powerful, and I forgot how good it felt to read like a fictional story, you know, because I'm so used to reading like self-development books and like spirituality books. I think this was just a very nice read, but with a very powerful message, and a lot of you guys recommended another one of his books, so I'm definitely going to check some of those out. I guess the best way I can describe it is that it's just like a special read, you know? So yeah, check it out. This is another book that I'm currently rereading, and I'm determined to finish it by the end of this year. So this is The Book of Secrets by Deepak Chopra. I remember loving this book when I first read it. I think I read it for the first time like 3 years ago or so. But wow, it's just very eye-opening, and it really challenges you to flip your perspective on life and just to look at the world from a completely different angle. I remember it definitely helped me make some pretty big life decisions back when I first read it. So I thought I would give it another read and kind of just like remind myself of all the wisdom that's in it. Deepak Chopra, another one of my favorite human beings and spiritual teachers. He is just so wise, and I don't know. I love all his books. I love his podcast, and he is just incredible. I love this one. I think at the core of this book, it really just talks about how we are all one, living in this one reality, and at the end of the day, everything is connected I don't know if that makes sense, but just check out this book if you want some like really good personal deep transformation. Next book that I read was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. This book was, I'm not gonna lie, a pretty heavy book to read. It took me a bit to get through it, but again, it is so powerful because it's Viktor's story from being in concentration camps during the Holocaust and just how he was able to overcome that whole situation, and despite the absolute tragic circumstances that he went through, like he was able to come out of it, and he talks about what it was that helped him come out of it and to stay alive through it all. It's a very good book and I would highly recommend it, but just beware, it's pretty heavy, but I think it's a good one for everyone to read at some point in their life. So this is another book that I reread for like the third time this year, and it is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. I love her. I've talked about her a ton on my channel. I love her money book as well. As you can see, I have marked this up quite a bit with Post-its, but that's just because everything in here is just like pure gold. I will always continue to go back to this book. I feel like, I mean, if you're one of the few people out there who hasn't read this, please go pick it up and give it a read, because I promise you, like, you will not regret it. The next book I read this year was Conversations with God, an Uncommon Dialogue by Neil Donald Walsh. So I guess this is book one and I've only read this one, but apparently there's more to the series. I would say this book is written from a very unique perspective, but I really liked it. I thought it was super eye-opening and it kind of challenged some of the views that I had about God, and I don't know, I would just like really recommend reading it with an open mind. I remember I teared up a few times during reading this because I just really resonated with some of the parts of it, and it just like touched me in a way, and I was just like, wow, like this is amazing. It was almost like I felt comforted by some of the words in this book. Overall, 10 out of 10, really enjoyed it. The next book I want to share with you guys is The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael A. Singer. This is another one that I decided to reread this year just because I think this year I struggled more with my mental health than I ever have before, and I just didn't really know where to turn. I was just feeling like super unmotivated and just like sad for no reason at certain points, and I know it's just because this year was a lot, like, you know. Rediscovering this book was just such like a blessing for me, and just it guided me through those hard times, and it still will be something that I go back to for the rest of my life, and I just know that for a fact. But this book is so beautiful. It helps you realize that like whatever you're going through, like you are just the witness of the experience. You are not defined by the emotions you feel, you know, you just feel your emotions. You are not those emotions. So it allowed me to realize that, you know, like this is temporary, this too shall pass, you know, all these feelings of just like being unmotivated or sad or just, you know, feeling down, like they're going to pass. That's just the journey through this life of how we really grow and become better humans. Definitely give this book a read if you ever find yourself going through a hard time, struggling with your mental health, or even if you're not, you know, like I initially read this when I was, you know, doing great, but you will always get value out of this book, I think, no matter where you are at in your life. The next book I have to share is called You Squared, and this is by Price Pritchett. This is a book that I discovered through Bob Proctor, who is one of my favorite teachers. He has been working in the self-development world for years and years, and he recommended this book, so I decided to read it, and it is a super quick and easy read. I want to say I read it in about like an hour, maybe if that, but it's very simple and just straight to the point, and it's all about the quantum you and taking a quantum leap in your life and what that means and how you can go about it. Next book is Jack Canfield's Key to Living the Law of Attraction. So I think this year, especially in the beginning of the year, I really dove deep into learning more about the law of attraction, and I actually bought this used at a Portland bookstore when I was in Oregon back in February. I love this book because it has a ton of real tangible practices that you can do to actively practice the law of attraction in your life. I feel like I learned so much from this. And again, it's a very easy, simple read as well. And there's so many amazing quotes in here as well. I would also highly recommend this if you are just beginning to kind of dip your toes into the law of attraction, because I think this really breaks it down in like simple terms. I love learning about this because I know that we are all co-creators here on earth and we really do have the power to create the life that we desire. Definitely check this one out. The next book I read was No Mud, No Lotus, The Art of Transforming Suffering by Thich Nhat Hanh. So I love Thich Nhat Hanh. I love all his teachings and his quotes, and this was actually the first book of his that I read. I really enjoyed it. Again, this was something more on the mindfulness side. It really just talked about how important like deep breathing is and meditation. There's some really effective practices in this book for that, and again for transforming suffering. You know, I think I learned a lot about how to let go of the suffering that I'm going through I think this book really helped me transform those feelings of suffering by just shifting my perspective, and instead of coming from a place of I'm the victim, why is this happening to me in life, and instead just turning that to what can I learn from this, how can I take this like anger or frustration or sadness and, you know, transform it into something of a higher vibration and something that's going to actually help me grow and become a better version of myself. That's a little bit about this book. Next we have Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald G. Jampolsky. I didn't know that this book has been around for quite some time now, but I again just gravitated toward it at the bookstore, and I'm so glad I did because it is such a beautiful read just overall about choosing love over fear. And in every moment of every day we have two choices, bottom line, love or fear, and how when you choose love you don't let fear win. Love is always the highest vibration. I think this book just reminded me of how important it is to be compassionate and be understanding of everyone and what they're going through, and you know, at the end of the day, like, you are only responsible for yourself and what you choose to do. Other people are going to react in the way that, you know, they know how to, and that's okay. So just not taking everything so personally and just choosing a higher path for yourself, which is love, really. Absolutely enjoyed this book, and it was such a pleasure to read. The next three books I'm going to show because they're kind of like a series, but these are the Esther and Jerry Hicks books that I've read about the law of attraction this year. So we've got Ask and It Is Given, then the law of attraction, and then Money and the law of attraction. So these three books were very transformative for me. I love Abraham Hicks. I love listening to and reading Abraham Hicks books. I feel like I've talked about them a ton on my channel, so I won't go on a spiel about them right now, but I would just definitely recommend these books if you're someone who is interested in, you know, deliberate creation and really learning how to use the law of attraction, because, you know, it's working in all of our lives whether we are aware of it or not. So I guess just being able to co-create with the universe. I think these books just help you get really clear on what it is you want in your life and how you can obtain that. So I would obviously highly recommend these books. Another book that I read this year was The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. This book was so transformative, and I learned so much about our subconscious mind and how truly powerful it is. Guys, like, it is insane. You could definitely go down the rabbit hole of learning about the mind, but I was just like blown away by this book. Definitely, if there is something, a habit you want to break or something you want to change about yourself, read this book. And actually the next book that I talk about kind of goes hand in hand with this. Could not recommend this more. You will be transformed. Kind of similar to the lines of that book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza is another one of my favorite books that I read this year. So Joe Dispenza is incredible because he actually gets into the science of how our brains work, how our brainwaves affect our different states of mind, and just like everything from quantum physics to like how we can just essentially create a new personality. If you've never read anything by Joe Dispenza, please go pick up one of his books or listen to a podcast that he's been on, because he will blow your mind, like literally. I also started reading another one of his books, but I didn't finish it, so that's why I'm not including it in this video, but I'm determined to finish it next year. Finally, we have come to the last book for today. So this is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of this book already. I feel like it's just like a classic. I think this book just really allows you to transform your money mindset and your relationship with money, but it also has a lot to do with like the law of attraction and how you can use that to attract abundance into your life. It's a little bit hard to understand at times because it was written so long ago, but at the end of the day, like, you'll get the idea. Alright guys, so that is pretty much all I have to share with you all today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. If you have any more book recommendations for me or for anyone who's watching this video, please comment them below. Or if you've read any of these books, let me know which one is your favorite. I hope you've all made the best of this very crazy, intense, yet beautiful year. I know that one of the things I value so much is personal growth and transformation, and I know for a fact that 2020 was a very transformative year for me, and I hope it was for you as well. But I know that 2021 is about to just bring so many more lessons and blessings into our lives. Yeah, I just want to thank you all so much for sticking with me and, you know, being along my side throughout this crazy journey. It means so much. You guys have no idea. Thank you all for watching. I want to wish you all a happy new year if I don't see you before then. I'm sending you all the biggest hug and so much love. Don't forget to be here, be still, and be love. Bye guys.